All right, guys, so check it out. This is what I want to do. I want to talk a little bit about walking bass lines. If you ever struggled to play walking bass lines, you don't know exactly what notes to play in between the chord changes, we're going to be talking about that today. The fundamentals of learning a walking bass line starting from the beginning. Let's go. All right, so as you guys can see, we played a 12-bar blues, a simple 12-bar blues. That was actually Billy's Bounce by Charlie Parker. So I'll either have this chord chart written out or on the screen for you guys to see. So we start in the key of F. So we go from the 1 to the 4, back to the 1. Okay. Okay, so from F to the 4, B flat, back to the 1. All right, now we go 5, 1, 5, 1. So 5 will be C in the key of F, C, 1. Now we go back to the 4. All right, you guys can see it right here. I'll probably put it right here. And then there's a sharp 4. Well, in this case, I'm going to just stay at the 4 for right now. Okay, so let's just get those four bars going. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And it's important to know the qualities of these chords. So what you want to look at first is when you're reading a chord chart or some chord symbols is look at the chord. What is the chord saying? So we have an F7, that means a dominant 7 chord, meaning if we use that arpeggio, if we play that, we spelled it out, we will play 1, 3, 5, and 7 according to that dominant 7. Now, which one is our dominant 7? What scale do we use to play our dominant 7 scale? Is the Mixolydian scale. Remember, it's the major scale with a flat 7. Okay, so when you see that F7, that's what that chord means. So we got 1, 3, 5, 7. In the key of F major, we have F, A, C. What note is that? E flat, okay? So we got face, but the E flat, the E is flat. Okay, you get it? Anyway, so you got F, A, C, E flat. So that's that chord, that 7 chord. Whenever you see a 7 chord like that, that's exactly what that means. So we can use that arpeggio to our advantage. So I can play that bass line with an arpeggio. We have the benefit of having those 4 notes together. You see what I mean? So I'm just spelling out the chord with my bass line. Okay, just using every single chord tone, 1, 3, 5, flat 7 for the Mixolydian or for the dominant chord for each one. So if you see next, we have the 4 chord, which is the B flat, and that's a B flat 7. Okay, then it goes back to the 1. So I just want to spell out these chords for you guys. So another thing that I like to do is go through all of the chords and see how many different chord tones or chord qualities I have written on this chord chart. So you see we have a 7 chord. Oh, we have a 7 chord for the first chord, 7 chord for the second chord, another one 7 chord. Now when we get to the C, we have a minor 7. Okay, so that dash that you're looking at, that means minor. Okay, so we have a C minor 7. All right, so now we have to stack these things together. Now we have to bring in what we've learned already and try to apply it to what we're gonna play right now. So C minor 7, we know what a C minor is. We know what C minor scale is. If we have a C minor 7, or we know what a C, better yet, we know what a C minor arpeggio or even a triad is. The 1, the flat 3, the 5, and the flat 7. Okay. In this case, we have C, E flat, G, B flat. So that's our C minor 7 chord. So we can spell that out and make sure we know exactly what that means. Then it goes back to a 7 chord. So now let's just go through the first 4 chords. Let's go through the F7, B flat 7, F7, and then the C minor 7. Okay, so now just to make sure we have it all together, let's play the arpeggios of each of them. So we have F7, arpeggio for B flat 7. Now back to F7. Now let's go to the C minor 7. Okay, so now then we go back to the F7. So let's play this as a bass line, including these arpeggios. We're going to play F7, B flat 7, and back to F7, just to get a feel for it, just to get used to it. This is a great exercise as well. So 1, 2, 3, 4. If you notice the next bar, the next measure, when we go into the C minor 7 and F7, there's 2 inside of that one measure. So we have to hold those for half the time. So we can't hold those for 4 beats in that measure. So what we're doing now is doing 1, 2, 3, 4. That's all part of the F7. And then B flat, that's all part of it. We have each note, each quarter note is taking the space of that measure, okay? But we can't do that because we have 2 chords inside of that one measure. So C minor 7 and F7. So you may not be able to play the whole entire arpeggio, but it's great to know what you can play and the notes that you can use inside of that measure. So you might want to break it up, you might want to split it up. You can either play quarter notes on the root note. So we got 1, 2, F, F. So we got C, C, F, F, and then back to B flat to the 4. Okay, it can be as simple as that. You don't have to make it so complicated, but to know exactly what you can play is very, very, very important, because what if you want to do do, 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 do. See what I'm saying? So I played the C on the C minor 7. I played the C, the E flat, and then the F. Okay, so I played the 2 notes that are inside of the C minor 7 chord, and then I went straight to the F, and I played the octave of that. Now I'm to the B flat. I want to get all of these chord tones and chord qualities out of the way. So we have A minors. Let's look through them. So we have a 7, we have an F7, we have a dominant chord, dominant chord, dominant chord, minor 7 chord, dominant chords, 7 chord. Now we have a diminished chord. Okay, so you see that B with a circle and a 7 there. So we have a B diminished 7 chord. Okay, so we can play that, or we can spell that out as well. It's good to know exactly what these chords are, because that's the only one that's different from the rest. So we have F7 or a dominant 7 chord, minor 7 chord, all the way through the rest of the tune. So you can look at that B diminished 7 chord. What do we play on top of that? So the arpeggio for the diminished 7 chord, and I know I keep saying arpeggio because that's one of the go-to ways to spell out a chord, or the go-to way to spell out a chord. You got 1, 3, 5, 7. Boom, that's the makeup of the chord. Okay, and then you go outside of that, the upper extensions, when you get into the 9s, the 11s, the 13s, things like that. But it derives from the root note, the 3rd, the 5th, the 7th. Whatever that chord quality is, we have to look at that. So the B diminished 7. That's the arpeggio right there. And that circle means diminished. If it had a slash through it, it will be half diminished. Okay, so we have the do, 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 do. We have that arpeggio to work with when the B comes up. And if you notice in the beginning, when I played along with it, I played a B diminished arpeggio, but I think I went backwards. I descended that arpeggio. So you can be as creative as that, just descending one of the arpeggios just to make it not sound so monotone, if you know what I mean. So when that part comes up, you can play the B. Okay, so it's as simple as that. So just an exercise with playing the B flat dominant or B flat 7 chord. Next measure, B diminished 7. All right, so it really sounds nice because you're only changing a couple of things, or a couple of qualities of that chord, a couple of chord tones of that chord. So you have do major 3rd, nope, not major 3rd. You got B flat, major 3rd, 5, flat 7, and then you got go a half step up. They have that same exact, that 7 in common. All right, that same A flat is the same exact one in B flat 7 and B diminished 7. Okay, but anyway, that's a crash course, I guess, on a walking bass line. I don't want to go through the whole entire thing. We're going to be talking about this a lot more, how to play chromatic tones or chromatic notes inside of these walking bass lines, because that's what I was doing in the beginning when I played it for you guys. And who wants to play arpeggios all day long? Sometimes you want it to flow just a little bit more smoother. That is a walking bass line definition. So for it to walk smoothly, you definitely need to include some chromatic lines inside of that. So I hope you enjoyed this crash course, or this introduction to walking bass lines. Now, You also want to keep in mind that you can play triads with this too. I started with arpeggios because they're the easiest to work with, because you have 4 different notes for the arpeggio, the 1, 3, 5, 7, and you have 4 bars in a measure for this case. So we're in 4/4 time signature. So it just works out perfectly. Okay, so you can also do this with triads as well. That's the beauty of it. But anyway, stay tuned for the next part. We're going to be adding some chromatic notes, some chromatic passing tones as well. But if you have any questions, you guys know what to do. I'm really excited about this course because walking bass lines is one of the main fundamentals of being a bass player. Learning how to play, knowing how to play a walking bass line is so beneficial. And I started learning walking bass lines in the beginning, playing in church, and that kind of jump started my bass playing, or my recognition, or my understanding of how to play a walking bass line and how it all interacts with each other. Okay, but anyway, you guys know what to do. Comment below, and I'll get back to you as soon as I possibly can. Stay tuned for the next. See you guys in the next one. Whoop. Make sure your notes are coming out clean, clear, precise, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.